Aloha, and welcome to SUP FM, the podcast for stand-up paddleboarders everywhere. So with no further ado, let's get out on the water and on with the show. Here are your hosts, Nick and Simon.
Aloha, everyone. Aloha, Nick.
Aloha. How are you? I promised I wouldn't say aloha, but your guy is just incredible.
I know. He's fantastic.
What's his name?
Phil. Had to think.
Is it really Phil?
It is really Phil. Yeah, no, he's a big announcer in LA apparently.
So who have we got today? We're going to the Caribbean, I hear.
Yeah, episode 3. We're talking to Dave of
Roatan PaddleSports.
So he runs a SUP school out in Honduras. Honduras is absolutely fantastic. Certainly from seeing all the pictures, it looks like paradise. And I'd be very surprised if he doesn't spend at least a portion of his day lying in a hammock and drinking pina coladas.
Absolutely, and it's sad that you wouldn't be able to join us because of technical difficulties, but we'll see you on the flip side.
Absolutely. Let's get straight to it.
Hi, Dave. It's great to connect with you all the way from the Caribbean, and welcome to SUP FM podcast. What's it like down there in the Honduras?
Well, thanks for having me, Nick. Well, it's pretty nice today in Honduras. We got a beautiful sunny day. It's about 85 degrees, and the water is flat and warm.
That's lovely. I tell you, I think everybody, is it like that every single day?
Yeah, it's pretty much like that every single day, Nick. You get about 300 days a year where it's like that. And the other days, the water's a little bit rougher, a little wind or something, but every day's a nice day in Roatan, Nick.
Well, that's exactly what they say about us. I'm here in Portugal, and they say that we have 300 days of sunshine a year. Today is not one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what's it like the island itself? I mean, how does it fit into the Caribbean?
Okay, well, listen, as far as the island goes, it's a part of a chain of islands off the north coast of Honduras, about 35 miles away from the mainland. And we have a Caribbean culture out here, Nick. There's a group of about 6 islands and maybe 100 plus keys that comprise the Bay Islands of Honduras. We're on Roatan, which is the largest and sort of the most organized of these islands. It's a tourist destination that's accessed from North America through Miami, Atlanta, Georgia, Houston, Texas, Dallas, and Toronto, Canada. And we have a lot of guests that come from Central America, South America, Europe, and obviously North America through the air, and also on cruise lines. We get at this time of year, we get about 12 to 15 cruise ships a week, and we have one today.
Wow, that's great. So you can't really stick around on this podcast long because you got to go work, huh?
Well, we've got my Roatan PaddleSports is made up of it's a family business, Nick, and so my wife and stepdaughter are out on the beach getting ready for our cruise ship guests. They're just arriving right now, so it's no problem.
Ah, excellent. But it sounds like quite an interesting island. It's a long, thin island, as I gather. What, about 80 kilometers or 80 miles long? I'm not sure which.
Yeah, it's 35 miles, so it's around a little over 50 kilometers long. And at the widest, it's approximately maybe 2 miles wide at the widest, but it's mountainous. So we have a distinct east-west sort of sides of the island with these little ridge of mountains that run through it. And they're jungle mountains, so we have diverse ecology going on here with the beach scene, but on just a few hundred yards off the beach, it goes into heavy canopied jungle. So it's a kind of a pretty interesting place.
Sounds fantastic. And what attracted you to West Bay? Is it West Bay where you are?
We're in West Bay, which is the number one tourist destination on the island. It's comprised of about a mile of white, just powder, white sand, crystal blue, green water, beautiful beach, but mostly it's hotels and resorts with a few expatriates that are living in this area. And so it's not really a town, it's just more of a destination resort area.
Right, so it was a perfect choice for you to set up your paddle. Is it a paddle board business, or do you do other kinds of water sports?
We're straight paddleboard business. We have two locations. We have one here in West Bay, and then one in West End, which is a town about a mile away down the beach, and we just are in the process of building a new paddle center there for our cruise ship excursions.
Oh, fantastic! So the cruise liners come straight into West Bay.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, that must be amazing. So, but what attracted you to setting up a business in Honduras in the first place? I mean, obviously you're probably from the States, right?
Well, I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I came to Roatan in 2009 to look at a business opportunity. I'm in the oil business in Canada, and I was looking for something a little warmer to do in the winter time, and came here initially to look at a brewery that was for sale on the island, and I spent about 2 days before I realized that wasn't a very good idea, and that beer only costs $1 as it is now. So I wasn't going to be adding any value to the beer and drinking business here at all. So that didn't pan out. But as it works out in life, I met a girl and fell in love with a Honduran girl, and changed my life around and came to be with her.
Ah, sounds fantastic. So love brought you to the Honduras.
That's what got me in the door. And then as time went by, my little stepdaughter, who at the time was about 21 years old, and didn't have a job. And of course, we are in the third world here, so things are pretty tough for the local population. Their education level's a little low, and not a lot of opportunities, and especially for women. It's very difficult for women here to get ahead in sort of it's kind of a Latin world, and men seem to have a lot of the jobs that you'd see women involved in Canada. So we were thinking of something we could do to get her active and get her off on her feet. And the paddleboard thing had sort of popped up. We had bought a paddleboard and just decided, well, we were out playing with it one day, and Delaney came down to the beach to see what we were doing, and she jumped on the paddleboard and paddled away like nothing had ever happened. And he was like, wow, she was quite good at it immediately. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll buy some boards, and this will give me some reason to get off the bar stool in the afternoon, and she could run the boards, and I'd help her, and that's how we started. That was about a little more than 5 years ago now, 5.5 years ago.
Okay, right. So, I mean, it sounds like an absolute amazing situation. I just see some of your photographs. It's just idyllic. But surely there are quite a few challenges working in a fairly remote place. Like you said, it's difficult with a different culture. So what are the challenges that you find and you encountered when you were starting up the business?
Well, it's a few challenges. You're right. Initially, it was accessing the product. The product, paddleboards and paddles themselves are not locally available, and we have to bring everything in from the States, which isn't that hard to do, but time involved and money just to get it through customs and kind of get them all down here. So we have 32 boards currently, and so we started. That was probably the first thing, was to get them in here, get them through Honduran customs. The second thing was sort of to introduce the sport to the area. It was we were the first paddleboard business in West Bay at the time, and nobody really knew much about paddling. They'd maybe seen it somewhere. A lot of people had not tried it yet, and so we spent the first 3 years teaching people how to paddle, how to get up on a board, get them started. And we're seeing now in the last couple of years a lot more people that have boards at home, that have paddled in other destinations, that are bringing that skill with them, and now they just need the board and a little local knowledge to stay off the reef.
Right, it's pretty similar here in Portugal, because at the moment I think we're probably where you were 3 years ago, where a lot of people don't know how to paddle, they haven't even heard of it, and they see this thing and they think, wow, let's try that. So what do you do when everybody has learned how to paddle and you've got experienced paddlers? Do you take them on special tours, or what's your approach?
Okay, well, we have a few different options. What we can do is, what we do is we rent boards by the hour, the day, the week to tourists some who have expertise in paddling. So if they want to go on a tour, we can set something up, and we do little excursions where we'll put the boards in a boat and we'll go off to other keys, the other end of the island, different bays, etc., to sort of take them on a private excursion. We judge everybody before we cut them loose. We have a lot of people who tell us they know what they're doing, and It turns out they really don't. So we just kind of make sure they do know what they're doing. And if that's the case, what we'll do is we'll just point out the reef to them. We have a little guide, a little map, basically, that sort of points out where the reef. Roatan is surrounded by the Mesoamerican reef, the second largest barrier reef in the world. And it's very close to shore in several places, and I mean within 5 meters of shore. So we want to make sure they understand where the reef is and respect that. On the inside of the reef, the water is flat, calm, and clear. And on the outside of the reef, it's the ocean and it's dark and the deep blue. So we like to make sure everyone understands where the reef is, what the currents are, and where they can't go for their paddles. So give them a little information, and then we cut them loose. If they're beginners, if we give them a lesson that's included in our rental, we give them a shore lesson, and then we will go out with them personally and instruct them. Now, we notice that in most cases, people pick it up fairly quickly, and within 15, 20 minutes, they feel very comfortable. And at that point, we'll let them just go off and paddle on their own.
Great. This reef sounds exciting. Is it protected at all by any legislation, or can anybody just go out to the reef?
Well, the reef has local protection through the Roatan Marine Park, which administers the reef as far as law enforcement goes. Now, saying that, we're in the third world, and law enforcement here is not exactly up to, say, Canadian standards, at least. Yeah. And so there's quite a bit of poaching that goes on here. A lot of this poaching is just driven by hunger, and the locals who, have to eat, and they know where the conch are, or if they want to go get a fish or something, they just do it. So education has been in the forefront of the marine park, and they're trying to let these people understand that the reef is bringing tourists to these islands, and we want to do everything we can to protect that reef.
Great, yeah, because I mean, with it being the second largest barrier reef in the world, what's the
true.
Best? The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is probably the largest, I guess.
That's true, and the beauty of this here, Nick, is literally the reef touches the beach in West Bay, and then extends out to maybe about 400 yards from shore, 300 meters from shore, all the way around the island. So on one side of the reef is 2,000 feet deep, and the other side is 40 feet sandy bottom. So it's a diver's paradise as far as being able to access these dive sites within literally minutes of getting in the boat. And sometimes it's easier just to swim to the dive site than it is to even get into the boat. It's that close to shore. So.
Okay. And the stand-up paddle industry in Roatan, I suppose there's not much going on apart from you guys. Are there any other schools or competitions or events on the island?
Okay. We haven't had any events as of yet. There's been some talk in conjunction with a third party that's running an event called Extreme Roatan. In fact, Extreme Roatan is going to be happening April 4th, and it's a obstacle course through the jungle that's following in that footprint of extreme events. So there's been some talk of adding a paddling component to that for their next event. There are some, most of our business, Nick, is coming from cruise ships. We receive all these cruise ships every week through the winter months, and we'll have certain days where we'll have up to 15,000 people come off these cruise ships. Quite a few of them come to our beach. And so a lot of our SUP business is in the introduction of paddleboarding to these cruisers.
Okay.
So that's kind of what our bread and butter is. We have a solid following of hotel guests as well, people that return to Roatan year after year for the winter months, snowbirds, if you will. And so we see quite a bit of that. It's a perfect activity out here for enjoying the water in the morning time when you go paddling. If we go at 7 in the morning, we're going to see rays, eagle rays. We'll see turtles, several large species of fish. As the day goes on, those critters tend to commute outside the reef somewhat to get away from all the people. But late afternoon they return. So, it's awesome activity. Women especially gives them a reason to get off the beach, and a lot of ladies, they're very good at this immediately. So I tell them it's a water sport they can do without getting their hair wet.
Yeah, that's a good one. Exactly. So I was also wondering what, with all these cruise liners coming in, is it fairly cyclical? Do you have a season, or is it all year round?
Yeah, we do. We have a season for the cruise ships that basically run from early November till the end of April. And in those months, we'll be getting 40 to 50 cruise ships a month. And then after the beginning of May, essentially when the American school system is letting out, so things will start to die down as they go on summer holidays. And we do receive cruise ships all year round, but it'll die out in the summertime too, where we only get 3 to 5 a week. And a different kind of client as well, a cruise client, with less families and more seniors.
But the weather's still the same all year round?
The weather is, we're in summer right now, and summer started about 3 weeks ago. And we have summer, and then we have summer that has a little bit of rain in it. So
it's perfect. As long as there are no hurricanes.
Yeah, and hurricanes, we've been lucky here. One of the things I did before I moved here was to check the historical hurricane maps, and this island really doesn't receive too many hurricanes. They grow from here, but they seem to go north of us and into the Yucatan Peninsula, or south of us and onto the mainland of Honduras or Nicaragua.
Looks like you're conveniently tucked away, in the sort of rain shadow of the continent, as it were.
The weather here, Nick, I just have to say, I've been quite a few places around the world. The weather here is absolutely outstanding. Every day is basically the same. We're looking at
Dave.
Nick.
Awfully sorry, I ran out of money in the Skype credit thing. So I had to go and recharge it. So we're back in business. Okay. I just got one more question, really. Then you can go and paddleboard. Oh man, I wish I was there. It sounds so amazing. Okay, so Dave, thanks very much. It's been fantastic talking to you. But before I let you go, I'd just love to know what a typical day in the life of Roatan Paddleboards is like.
Well, Nick, we live on the beach, so basically it starts at about 6 in the morning with the sun coming up, and we look out the window literally at the beach and decide, what the day's going to do. So usually that means we go straight out for breakfast quickly and then head down to the beach and set up our little stand, which is located on West Bay Beach in front of Hotel La Serena. And we set up our stand, put our boards out, and our little stand has a hammock in it. And as soon as everything is out, we jump in the hammock and wait for people to show up, which they seem to come every day. So it's not a long wait. It
sounds like an absolute dream. Incredible.
Yeah, we do that, and we stay on the beach usually till about 4:30 to 5 o'clock, depending on what's going on, and that's a day. And we do that every day that it's nice, which right now we've been since February 22nd was the last day that we had a little bit of a rain, and it'll stay like that until probably September 15th, roughly. And, it's just the way we live.
I think you've got us all salivating on the end of our computers here, listening to you talking about this incredible paradise. So, and it's pretty accessible from North America, right? As you said earlier, with all those different places.
We have direct flights from North America daily, and from the southern destination cities, Houston, Miami, Atlanta, Dallas, and then also all winter long from Toronto and Montreal, Canada. There is a European flight that flies from Milan, Italy to Roatan. That's a seasonal through the summer months, and we get a lot of Italians that come on that plane. And so those are the main ways to get to Roatan. But if you can get to Honduras, we have ferries to the mainland a couple times a day, and a lot of people come on a ferry as well. So.
Okay, and I've got to ask you this: have you ever paddled those 35 miles to the mainland?
35 miles, and I haven't done it yet. I've been thinking about trying it. It's pretty serious. It's a pretty serious challenge, although I do have a friend who paddled halfway there to another island called Utila, which is 18 miles open water, and he did that in about 8 hours. Wow, sounds like a good trip. But open ocean's a different story. Huh? Yeah, sure. Yeah. This weekend we're actually doing a 32-kilometer trip down one of our rivers, which is not as intense, but it's going to be great fun. Well, listen, I want to just add to this a little bit. Now, we do strictly stand-up paddling. There is a large and vibrant kayak community here as well, and falls into the sort of the paddling realm. And around the islands, of course, kayaking is very popular. But on the mainland, there is a world-class river straight across from us on where the ferry lands on the mainland, and it's a city called La Ceiba. The river is called the Rio Canuck, and it's got Class 5 whitewater kayak rapids, and is a world-class kayak destination. So we were over there last weekend to try it out and kind of get an idea what's going on the mountain over there, and it's an amazing experience as well. Wow, grade 5. It's intense, isn't it? Yeah, it's great, and this river is just spectacular. Coming down, there's large mountains on the coast, and they are 10,000-foot mountains inside a national park. It's called Pico Bonito National Park, and this river is, it reminds me a lot of Canadian mountain rivers, although the water is warm. Because I'm sure warm. I'm sure up in Canada you're just getting snow melt. Yeah, it's fantastic jungle river experience. So for any paddlers that happen to listen to this, there's more than just stand-up. There's also kayaks. So, we've got quite a bit of paddling opportunity here in Honduras. Excellent. Thanks, Dave. So where can we find you on the internet? Okay, well, our current only internet presence is on Facebook and Roatan PaddleSports on Facebook, and we'd appreciate anybody who came and checked our page out, and we will be having a .com address very shortly as it's time for us to kind of move into the 21st century here. We're a little bit behind, but that's being on the island, man. Yeah, man. Well, I hope all goes well, and good luck with that. And it's been fantastic talking to you. So thanks very much for coming on, Dave. Really, really appreciate it. Well, thanks for the time, Nick. And again, I appreciate any kind of support. And we love paddling. So we invite everybody to come and visit us in Roatan, and include you, Nick. We'll leave a light on for you. I've got a hammock with your name on it. I'm looking forward to that. Wow. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. All right. Cheers. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you for listening to SUP FM, the #1 podcast for stand-up paddlers wherever you are. If you like what you've heard, please leave us a review on iTunes. Until then, we'll